Hey, what's up, family? This is the Pregame Show Network. I am Tolly Carr. This is the Pregame Show Rewind. It is a bye week for Colorado. It is a feel-good Monday. I mean, can I get my Vince McMahon on? It is a feel-good Monday. I lost my voice. That's as straggly as I can get. Neely, I'm gonna leave it alone, man. That about took me out.
I lost mine too, Tolly. I got this throat lozenge in right now. I don't know pregame on TV if they showed y'all how much it was raining, but it was
I do not have a good feel for the weather. Looking at it through television, I could not tell.
well during the game it wasn't raining.
Okay, well I know there was a delay. So yeah.
But during that delay, I mean, you thought the hurricane might have just doubled back or something, and so we had a couple of delays due to lightning. But if it's not lightning, you got to be out there doing your thing. The rain don't matter. And man, you talk about a brother getting soaked out there to the draws. So I'm standing in the rain and a downpour for 30 minutes or more. And a brother throat was like, hey, I felt like baby boy Melvin was choking me from behind.
Oh boy. That is Uncle Neely. You see him. He is back in Jackson, Mississippi. He is representing his frat. He's in his hometown. He's looking good. He's feeling good. And Neely, we were talking last week. Remind me again. Let me do a Coach Prime. Remind me again, Neely. What was the spread? The underdog? What was it?
13.5. Now I round that up. They said we were gonna lose by 14, Tyler.
And tell me again, how did it turn out, Neely? How did it turn out?
We won by double what they said we were gonna lose by. Like Tyler, I talked to Michael Irvin after the game. I can't wait to post this tomorrow. I'm thinking I'm gonna do an interview with Michael Irvin, and so I say to him, "Playmaker, what are they gonna say now?" He snatches the mic from me and says, "I don't know what they're gonna say, but I got a rant." And he went on for about 2 minutes on how the guys in Vegas who handicap these games, how y'all are screwing over the fans out there who depend on y'all because you're letting your personal emotions or dislike of Deion Sanders, Coach Prime get in the way. Because he was like, I can't believe, and he maybe put it on the scoreboard, that they said this team was going to win by 14.
Neely, I don't want to come up here. I don't want to slander UCF. There's a great relationship there with Coach Malzahn and Coach Prime. I think for all of college football, and we can go back to last year, I don't think until you get to mid-October, I don't know that you can say what any of these teams are because who they play. Here's the thing that's wrong with college football. We put out a preseason poll, which we just shouldn't do because you don't know how good these teams are. So you think the number one team is the number one team from day one. You think the number 10 team has to live up to that number 10 team ranking. If you start out outside the top 25, you're viewed as, oh, you weren't supposed to be that good anyway, and you might have been the bomb from day one. You just didn't get the rating. So I think they should do it more like, let's just wait till about let's wait till it cools down, till all the summer heat is gone, and then let's rank the teams based upon what we've seen. I mean, that would be less fun as a fan. I get it, but come on, man.
I got to tell you this, Tolly. I could have sworn that you said shit and do, but you said shouldn't do. But my ears heard, we just shouldn't do it, which is more in line with the truth than shouldn't do it. Here's the thing, Tolly. College football doesn't have a preseason. You're going off of what you saw last year. You look at the new talent that's coming in. You look at who's departed, and you just throw darts at the wall and see what sticks. Here's what we got to appreciate, though. I'm not going to allow them to move the narrative, to move the goalpost on UCF. Going into that game, number one offense in the country, 375 yards a game on the ground. Everybody said that the Gus bus was going to roll and that their ground game was going to overwhelm our defensive line. I'm not going to sit here and just because Colorado won a game that they weren't favored in, that now all of a sudden the data points were wrong. Now all of a sudden we shouldn't be ranking people or talking about people so early. Oh, no, 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 no. Just like last year, TCU was one of the top teams in the country, coming off playing in the national championship, favored by 21. We win the game, and now you want to change the measure stick. Well, they probably shouldn't have been that high in the first place. For me in college football, when you get 2 weeks in, regardless of conference play or not, by the time you get to particularly 3 weeks in, you have enough data points to know what you're good at. Even internally, when everyone was attacking our offensive line week 1 and week 2, I said, man, it's too early for that. Like you haven't played enough snaps with these units to really know what they're good or bad at yet. But when here it is, Tyler, we're 4-1. That was the 5th game of the season. You know who you are and what you're capable of, and you know what your opponents are. They got film, they got other games. And so here it was. The experts said that UCF was going to dominate us by 14. The experts said that where Shedeur should be able to handle their secondary, our defensive line and linebackers weren't going to be able to handle their run game, a run game that produces closer to 400 yards a game than it does 3. I don't think they got 170 on the ground, Tyler. Like, I think what has to happen now, these experts got to sit back and say, Colorado has a talented football team. Colorado has coaches that know what they're doing. We've been underestimating and hating on Colorado just a little too much. That's where the truth is.
And unless I missed something, and we're going to get to the game and go back and relive and break down what happened on Saturday. Even in this week's AP poll, which came out yesterday, I scanned. I don't think anybody's even voted for Colorado. I don't even think in the coaches poll. I know they were getting last week. And I haven't seen this week's poll, but last week they were receiving votes. I feel like the writers just kind of have they don't see it the same way that the coaches do, for sure.
Absolutely. Coach Malzahn has some very, very good positive comments about Coach Brian and Coach Staff, and as well as Shedeur Sanders and his pregame stuff. He knew they were facing a quality opponent. He knows what they're capable of. So I think coaches get it, but I think writers, because the starting quarterback back in high school took their girl to the prom, I think writers sometimes have a chip on their shoulder toward athletes, and that comes out in these predictions and this bias, toward what a program can do or will not do. But here's what has happened. We have now won 4 football games, and that's 2-0 in conference, by the way. And you've had other people in conference haven't won a conference game yet, or they're 1-1 or 1-2. Colorado is right there at the top in the Big 12, and I think when you look at the talent that's on the field, and something I said all summer long, and I said all season long, at least those first 3 or 4 games, when this team plays complementary football, meaning the offense, defense, and special teams show up on the same night, it's going to be hard for anybody to run with us.
Well, that was definitely the case on Saturday. Let's get Uncle Neely's name off the screen. All right, let's say what's up to some of the people in the comments there. Neely, we got let me do this. I'm doing all things today. Let's get your boy a little FaceTime. I did shave this morning for you. Gerardo, what's up, man? You always supporting. Big Dog Chico in the house. Does a lot of content with Neely. Look, keep up with Chico, man. Chico has it going on. All right, so make sure that you're following Big Dog Chico. Alexander Gallant, we see you. Shirley Kimball, what's up? Tanya MFG. Tanya, I don't even want to know what the MFG stands for, but we have our imagination, but she says hello to everyone. All right, Neely, so the game starts. And, again, I love to talk to people, the fan experience. I'm sitting at home. I was glad it was delayed because I had to fix my dryer. It gave me an extra 30 minutes to fix the dryer because I needed it. I have about 4 thumbs when it comes to fixing things. I'll get there, but it sometimes, takes me a little bit of time. So got the dryer squared away. And, UCF comes out. They had a bye week, Neely. They came out with some new looks on defense, some vanilla fronts, and maybe, confused Colorado a little bit. They had an interception on that first drive. But, Neely, I felt good that when UCF got the ball, they didn't immediately just rush it in for a touchdown. And on each play, I was like, you know what? Colorado looks like they can handle this run, and then they turn around and pick the ball off, and then it was on and popping. But I thought from the very start, the defense made a statement for Colorado on Saturday, especially the defensive line.
The defense and the defensive line has been making a statement every game this season. 7 points in the back half of football games. When you look at the times that they have, when you just had to have it and they gave it to you, they're more consistent than the offense is, and the offense is high-powered. One of the key differences, Tolly, and I said this live last night with Big Dog Chico, Sunday Nights Live, y'all check that out. This year's team, there's no fold. They embrace being resilient. They embrace being determined. Last year's team, after Shedeur throws that interception on the third play of the game, that team is going to score. Now it's 7-0. But what does this year's team do? Oh, no, dog, we got you. We get you right back. And Preston Hodge, in a short field, they got the ball on the other side of the 50 and couldn't get any points out of it. Preston Hodge gets the interception in the end zone. So now all you did was just trade possessions. And you just saw then that this team not only doesn't break when it bends, you barely saw any bend in it, because once they get going and start rolling, it just keeps on rolling.
You know, Neely, one thing that I feel like this game provided closure for me. This game, it made me feel like every scenario I saw from last season that went left, I've seen those potential scenarios arise over the course of 5 games. And there is nothing that Colorado has done this year that made me think that's the same damn team as last year. I've seen something different. I've seen that bend. And you know, Nebraska, call it what it is. But there's been enough data points for me to say this team reacts differently when they're in the same position they were last year. And let us remember, they didn't get blown out of all these games last year. That last year's record not indicative of how close those games were, but you can tangibly see the difference. And I feel like that fear of here we go again, for me as a fan, is gone.
Tolly Carr, you get in the show right there, brother. You nailed it. You got enough data points. You got enough scenarios that have happened in this season that just tell you that. I think there are some historic Colorado fans who've been through the hard times they've been through, and they're just panic mode sometimes. I think you have Coach Prime, Shedeur, Travis fans who watch, and they're waiting for the next oh shit to happen, and it doesn't happen. But I think when you put the haters to the side and just look at the totality of what has happened game in and game out, play in and play out, this team has given you every reason to believe, not every reason to doubt. Last year, you had every reason to doubt it. This year, you have every reason to expect it to be favorable. And if you think I'm talking crazy, we're 4 wins, 1 loss. If you roll with Neely for 5 times, you would have won 4 out of 5 times. The numbers are what the numbers are. We got to go into these games as fans and believing that this is going to be a good outcome, instead of going like, oh man, I'm waiting. I know it's coming. And even last year when it came and kept coming, pause, you had to know you were in those games. You were competitive. We lost 5 games by less than 1 score. Those same opponents before Coach Brian got here, they were 35-point blowouts. This program is better. This team is better. The arrow is pointing up. Now, are we in Alabama or Georgia? No, we're not there yet. Programmatically, NIL money, we're not there yet. Can this team compete and win the Big 12? Absolutely.
The way you hit that pause, but you didn't pause, and the way you kept rolling, that is classic stuff there, Neely. And the way I was just like a half second late just enforces just like how corny I am. So that was great. Tanya wanted to clarify in the comments that is very vanilla, the MFG. It's like her middle name, maiden name, and last name. So nothing to see there, folks. Keep moving. Let's talk about plays. You talk about moments. People talk about Heisman moments. You just talk about these special moments that add to your reel as the college season goes along. We talked about when Shedeur Sanders hit Wester in that game against Baylor. I think Neely, I said he had to throw the ball into something that was the area of maybe a pizza box for that catch, right? That touchdown he threw to Will Shepherd. I'm going to narrow that area. I'm going to say he had to throw that something into the size of a trash can that's in your not your kitchen trash can, your bathroom trash can, the little mini dorm trash can, for that to be a touchdown and not an interception. And Neely, watching it in real time, before the slow-mo, before the replay, I see the defender go up with Shepard. They both hit the ground and roll, and I immediately said that was an interception. There was no way Shepard caught that, like in real time. And then, they're like, touchdown, and I saw the replay. The accuracy. I'm not even going to call it luck or anything. First of all, the courage, the belief in yourself, the belief in your receiver, and then the accuracy of execution to make that pass. Show me a better pass. Neely, that was awesome. It wasn't the game winner. It wasn't his time, expiring, but that was a thing of beauty.
Absolutely. The best indicator, y'all get your notepads out. I'm going to give you a second. There was your second. Get your notepads out. And remember, Uncle Neely told you this. The best indicator of future performance is past performance. Yes, people change. Yes, circumstances happen and adjust. Environments matter. But by and large, you can expect from somebody what you have been getting from somebody. And what you have been getting from Shedeur Sanders.
There he is.
Since Jackson State is high completion percentage and amazing accuracy downfield. The guy has a zip on the ball. He keeps his eyes up and downfield. He sees things that you and I don't see. And because of the work he puts in, he knows I can get the ball there. And I have seen he and Will Shepard. And by the way, at practice, Will Shepard is going up against Travis Hunter. So at practice, Will Shepard is seeing the toughest opponent that he will ever see on the game field. I have seen Will Shepard and Shedeur Sanders connect on many a touchdown at practice, which is why, and I got to admit this, week 5, I didn't pick him, but 4 weeks in a row I did. 4 weeks in a row, I picked Will Shepard as the offensive breakout player of the game in the pregame show. And the week I didn't pick him, that's when he showed up and did it. Shout out to Will for that. They have amazing chemistry. Will's hands coming from the SEC. Now, somebody's going to say, oh, he just played at Vandy. Well, hell, Vandy was playing Georgia. Vandy was playing Alabama. Vandy was playing all the other teams in the SEC.
Yes, they were.
The guy's the SEC receiver transferring to Colorado, and he and Shedeur Sanders got a lot of more left in the tank to make some noise.
All right, let's get back to that in a moment. But before the chat populates, Jamal Powell wants to talk about Preston Hodge. He said he might lead the team in interceptions this year. Maybe not, but Preston Hodge definitely showed up this past weekend early on when they needed him, and they needed that stop.
Yeah, I think Preston has showed up every game this season. He has made some kind of impactful play, whether it's a crucial pass breakup, almost interception, or an actual interception. And much like I said about Will Shepard on the offensive side of the ball, you see Preston do it at practice. Preston is much like Travis Hunter, very mature for his age. He's going to go home and spend the family time. You're not going to see him out kicking it. It is work, family. Quiet assassin, just moves through the building, have a different tone and tenor. But when it's football time, it's football time. And I think you will eventually, when the time is right, see Preston Hodge playing on Sundays because he is an absolute pro when it comes to his preparation and what he does on the field.
I wanted to say this earlier because you said something, and I did the Mutombo. Shout out and unfortunately rest in peace to Mutombo. I saw earlier today that he passed away at age 58. Now I wanted to come back and say that right away when I did it, but we started rolling. But yeah, big part of the sports culture, and people will be doing that for a long time. But John Sally talked about this, Neely. A lot of these tall basketball players, man, don't live as long as we think that they should, because that's a lot of blood that your heart has to pump, and it has to get a long way for those guys. So really rest in peace to Dikembe Mutombo. All right, let's go right on back into some football here.
Let's go right back into no man flies in the house of Mutombo.
No man. Special place here in Atlanta as well. let's no some of these narratives that have built out. One of the silly ones that I thought that I've seen that Shedeur Sanders holds the ball because he wants to throw the ball down the field and only get these big yardage plays. He's looking to pad his stats, and this just in, his daddy's in on it too. That's what they say, Neely. When you see the accuracy week in and week out, if you have a gun and you can make that thing happen, a 40-yard play is better than a 4-yard play if the 40-yard play presents itself. I know next to nothing about football, but I know a little bit about math.
No, you just mapped it out. And when you have the belief in your receiver that when he sees you roll out of a pressure, that he's going to come back across or come to you and help you, because that's what we work on in practice. That's why he's holding the ball. He's making something happen. He's willing something into happening. He's looking downfield to the receiver with that nonverbal communication, like, hey, all right, follow me, here it comes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But when it does work, you're exactly right, Tolly. It's 40, 45 yards instead of a dink and dunk 4 yards. And that's what the people came to see. It's not about padding stats. It's about scoring. It's about moving the ball downfield. And I think Shedeur will tell you, yeah, I should have threw that one away a little sooner. Yeah, I got to get out my hands a little quicker. But the big but is, I knew what Wester was about to do. I knew what Travis was going to come back to me. I was trying to buy them some time so I could get the ball to him.
All right, can we no the narrative, and can we start discussing that beyond being super famous, beyond being a great recruiter, beyond being charismatic, Deion Sanders can coach football? Can we start having that conversation, Neely? It's been qualified by so many things, and every time they lost, see. All right, this was a game they were supposed to get not only whipped, but people were telling you, and this is how they're going to get whipped. And Gus is going to get on the bus, and they're going to do this, and you're not going to be able to stop it. And it's like, okay, all right. Well, I think that it's only fair that we start having the conversation that this man, knows football and can coach.
Well, I think everybody who's going to watch this broadcast later, the unlive version, the posted version, can rewind back to the top of the show when good old Uncle Neely said, it's time for these folks to look in the mirror and admit a couple things, that this team has talent and this team has one hell of a coaching staff. These guys know what they're doing, starting at the top. You got to go back even to Jackson State when people were saying Coach Prime couldn't coach. Give me a coach that can give me 2 undefeated seasons in conference and 2 back-to-back conference championships. If that ain't coaching or can't coach, sign me up for it. Oh, that's just because the people he hired. Well, ain't that what a good CEO does? You want to bring on people on board that match your driven character, your charisma, that can get it done. What they don't want to do is give this black man, and pause right here now, not just black man, unapologetically black man. I'm talking about a Muhammad Ali kind of black man. They won't want to give him credit for this success because they know what's going to happen if they do. There's going to be more of them. There are going to be more Deion Sanders types that get hired who are brash, who are unapologetically deep in their culture, and who are the most makeup on this team? Young black kids. So we can't have him be successful. We can't talk about how great of a coach he is, because then that undermines what we're trying to accomplish and the keys to the grain silo that we've had for 100 years. So no, don't talk about that. Talk about, the flash. Talk about the sizzle. Don't talk about the steak. But if one thing this guy has proven is that he can coach, he can get this team ready to play. Now you got a bye week. You got a Kansas State team coming into Boulder, and you got extra days to prepare for him. The guy can coach, man. The guy's staff can coach. Look how everybody was hating on Robert Livingston this summer. Oh, who the hell was Coach Prime hired? No experience. He's never had a room, never been a coordinator. Now, hey, Coach Livingston, will you come speak to my class? Will you sign a book for me? Now he's the greatest thing. But it was a bad hire. One of the top defenses in the nation, but it was a bad hire.
And look, part of this process is you got to make some changes, right? You got to move some people around. You can be a great coach. It could not be a great fit. We're not trying to disparage anyone, but as the top man, you have to be willing and able and be able to recognize and make those changes. And so for everything that was the flack, right, in the off season and last year, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. You should just take the team that was here. There was 1-11 when you got here. All that. He's making the changes. He told us what was going to happen. Again, look, they're not undefeated. They're not number one in the country, but they are further along than the detractors thought and hoped they would be. And he told us this was coming, Neely. Literally.
Yeah.
Pause.
My mama said the reason they hate Coach Prime is because he's going to tell you what he's going to do. He's going to do it, and then thank God for it. And they can't stand it.
Well, that has certainly been the case. Let's look over in the comments there. Sharon Jameson says, preach, Unc. Tell the truth. You know, they got a plate over in that super chat. Y'all want to pass that plate in the super chat? I'm just saying. Tanya, let's get Tanya back on good terms. I tried to make fun of her name. She says, yes, Deion can coach football, period. Basically, he's a leader and a good leader, brings on talent to make a team a business. Great is just that simple. Yes, Deion can coach. So she is here for it. Thank you, Tanya. Let's talk about that run game. Get back to some Billies and Joes and X's and O's.
The one we don't have? The one that they said we don't have?
That one.
The running game that they said was non-existent in Colorado?
That one. Yes, that one.
They said the offense is too predictable. We never run the ball. The running game that had Dallin Hayden and Micah both score rushing touchdowns. Is that the running game you want to talk about?
Yes, sir. Please.
Let's talk about it.
Early on, it was established. Look, early, I was like, are they going to pass the ball? I mean, they went into the running bag early.
What I love about it, Tolly, is each week when the run is established, post-game, we talk about it like that was the first game that the run game was established. When we went to Nebraska, shout out to Nebraska, shout out to their defensive line, particularly their two interior defensive linemen who will be playing on Sunday. We couldn't run the ball on them. We tried. Well, we couldn't because they were just damn better than us at that position, at that skill set, in those situations. But when there have been situations where we can move the ball on the ground, it's what you've seen. And what I've tried to articulate to the people out there, you have to remember in college football, sacks, as in lost yardage, are deducted from the run game. So you can't look at the end of the game and say, oh, Colorado only ran for 30 yards on 15 attempts. Well, still got sacked for 20 yards. That comes off of that. You have to look at the individual performance. And when I see a Dallin Hayden before the injury break one for 17 yards, when I see Isaiah first touch of the game, 23 yards, second touch of the game, 18 yards, when I see Micah become the bowling ball that he is down there in the red zone and score, same thing with Dallin, you just ain't finna tell me we don't have a run game. Having said that, you dance with who brought you to the party, and our pass game and our prolific receivers and our superior quarterback is who got us at the party. The offense is going to always be pass heavy, just like it was in up there in New England with Brady, just like it was in Indianapolis with a Peyton Manning. When you have these once-in-a-lifetime or worse generational, every 20, 25-year quarterbacks, the ball is going to be in their hand for the decision-making 80, 90% of the time.
We got some Charlie love in the comments. Come on, switcher. There we go. Sorry. Is it Pat? No. Jamar says kudos to Charlie. Look, Charlie started the year and has not seen as much action. Some other guys have stepped in, but he has continued to give the effort. We talked about him on special teams. And Neely, I think that's one of the things that makes a team special, that you step up when it's your time to step up and when it's your time to support and you may have to do something a little different. You do that and you don't put your ego first. And I think Charlie, he's getting his love in the comments and I think it's well-deserved.
Well-deserved. When you look at what he did this spring, what he did all summer, the starting job was his coming out of camp. And yours truly said to all the panickers out there, I think that's going to change as the season goes on, because these backs who had not been here by that time are going to get practice and in-game experience that prove they should be getting the line carry of the shares. of the lion share of the carries, excuse me. And that is exactly what has happened. But don't diminish what Charlie brings to that team from a heart standpoint. He's the leader out there on special teams for the punt unit. He's calling out the coverage, giving out the assignments, and bringing some head knock when it's time to make a tackle. Charlie Offerdahl, whether he is getting the bulk of the carries behind the quarterback or out there on special teams, Charlie Offerdahl is a dog and a leader on this team, and his team would not be the same without him.
You know, we talk about the offensive line when they protect Shedeur. We talk about them when they allow sacks. Neely, I think we need to also give them credit when that run game is popping. Like, it's easy to say, hey, the running backs are out there doing it. But that's another stage, another responsibility that, of course, we know that. But look, if we're going to talk as bad about those guys as everybody did last year, I think every chance we get to praise them when things go right, we should definitely take the opportunity to do so.
With the same energy, with the same intensity. Everything about us, Tolly, face forward. Eyes face forward. Nose, mouth, our ears are turned forward. Our feet face forward. We're designed to move ahead, not move backwards. So I think any offensive line would tell you they rather run block than pass protect, because when they're backing up, they don't have eyes behind their head. They don't know that the way that they push the guy is the very way that the quarterback rolled to and a sack happened. But they get happy and excited about run blocking, because that's moving forward, and that's when you get those pancakes, and that's when you can use a guy as a pillar and get up off of him a little too late, make the ref want to blow a whistle. They love that kind of stuff. Khalil Benson dealing with a little injury, didn't make the trip, so once again that line got to plug and play and move around some. And I think when you look at the totality of the game, whether it is run blocking or pass protection, they did a great job at UCF.
Yep. Going forward and going backwards, they did that. Neely, why do you think maybe the top couple of reasons why Colorado handled the run as well as the look? I towards the end of the game, I got nervous more so when UCF was passing the ball as opposed to running. What would you credit their success to? Something that was supposed to get out there and just run Colorado over, but they did so well.
Attention to detail. Coach Prime making it a priority. When we left the Nebraska game, before getting on the plane, he said, we're going to do live inside run, and live means full contact out there if you've never been to a collegiate practice. And it's been a part of practice since then. We're going to focus on what we were poor at Nebraska, and that was tackling in space, that was bringing down the running backs. And I think the loss at Nebraska, the criticism post-Nebraska, whether it is the offensive line and their protection of Shedeur and run blocking, or whether it's the defensive line and their inability to stop the run at times, I think the team has gotten better from that loss. That loss has really showed them what they needed to work on. They've worked on it. And in the game since then, where they failed at Nebraska has been exceptional performance since that failure.
All right, Neely, on that defensive line, Shadozi, we heard his name over and over and over. They could not stop talking about him, and rightfully so. What he brings, in case people, don't keep up with it from day to day, what he brings to that defensive line.
Leadership, tenacity, want to, a motor that won't quit. One of the strongest guys, if not strongest guys in the weight room altogether. Definitely strongest guy on defense. He sets the tone. He wants to play football on the other side of the line of scrimmage. He wants it to be a tackle for loss. He wants it to be a sack. He wants to make the quarterback move. It's that want to that separates him from everybody else.
All right, we got some love in the comments for the O-line coach. We talk about the offensive lineman, but hey, they got a position coach, and look, he's made the adjustments and he's hung in there. We had a couple of, moments throughout the season, just a couple. We're like, but righted that ship pretty quickly. Neely, ship, S-H-I-P.
He righted that shit too, because I think he knows what he has in his room. He knows what he's doing. He played football on the NFL level, has coached at Oklahoma, coached at Ole Miss. He knows what quality offensive line is supposed to look like, and he knows how to move pieces around based on the matchups of the evening or what they may be doing. So I've always said, people who are harping on who's starting, when you look at a field load offensive line, by the time you get through a game, or by the time you get through a season, of course, You're going to see a lot of guys who had the same number of snaps, whether they were starters or not, because he's going to move them around for the advantageous matchup.
All right, so people in the comments talking about recruiting in relation to the UCF game. Sorry, I don't see your name right away, but I did read it real quickly there. Neely, recruits, they might believe the point spread. They might not, think, oh, no, this actually is a good team. They might believe the hype. So when a recruit says, all right, Colorado was supposed to get smoked, and they smoked UCF. They came to Florida and handled their business. Do wins like these have an impact psychologically, all the way down, not only with fans, but recruits as well?
It absolutely does. I saw this happen week 1 last year against TCU. TCU invited all of their recruits in for their first game against Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes because they knew they were going to beat us by 21 points or more, and they wanted to show their recruits what a wonderful time that it would be in Texas if you were to sign here. But what were those recruits doing at the end of the game? They were standing in line to take pictures with Deion Sanders. The same thing happened here at UCF. Oh, it's going to be a wonderful weekend. All the recruits come to town. I think they had 300 recruits in town visiting. And what were they doing? Taking pictures of Shador and Travis and cheering for Colorado because they saw what you saw and the world saw, Tolly. This ain't no 14-point underdog. This team is for real, and I see where I could help them out even more.
We're jumping around here because I just think of these questions as we go, and there's a few things I don't want to forget. Neely, let us separate the difference between media and the media, okay? People that just post things on social media, that's media. People who don't take the responsibility or the time to give you context is media. If people will actually take the time to give you context, give you a complete story, give you all the facts, allow you to draw your own opinion, or maybe even offer theirs, we're just going to call them the media. I was really disappointed this weekend for the lack of smart people in the world that thought Cam Newton and Travis Hunter had a beef on the sideline. It makes me fear for the safety of our world, Neely.
People believe what they see. And if you just look at that interaction, it looked like there was some beef there. But I think they forget that the two guys were just playing video games the other night on the live stream. What was actually taking place there, testament to Travis Hunter, man, I'm locked in right now. I'm at work. Like, you want to holler at your boy, you got to holler at me before I come out here and start stretching with the pads on and going through my mechanics. Same thing with a Shador. Hey, dog, I appreciate you being here. Fist bump, but I'm at work right now. I'm locked in right now. And so this ain't some beef where they're going to jump on each other in the hood. This was simply, it's almost like, Tyler, I don't know if you heard it, but my phone just buzzed right there. And any of my close friends know Mondays around this time, I'm live with Tyler. Hey, hell are you texting me for right now? So it becomes like a little bit of disrespect that you don't have enough appreciation for what I do that you want to bother me right now. That's where the tits was.
Yeah, and even so, I can look at two brothers with the volume down and tell what is playful and what is serious, and I think there was a full video where they were talking earlier or later on the same sideline. It's just the world scares me sometimes, Neely.
But Tolly.
Mm-hmm.
Tolly.
Yeah.
You just said you could look at two brothers, ... The media, who you have the issue with, ain't made up of too many brothers, which is why the media will start a story and say that Colorado under Coach Prime are walking around bragging about how many guns they got. They're in the locker room talking about who strapped up the most. When you and I hear that, we know that's a defensive back strapping up a receiver, as in locking him down, seatbelt, clicking a ticket. White journalist hears it, oh, they're talking about guns. The culture, the context, it all matters when telling a story.
But even, and we'll get back to football, but What makes anyone think that Deion Sanders would allow any of this? That he would allow a player from the outside to have a physical, like real life beef on his sideline? Like anybody over there, Neely, I would imagine. Now, I spent more time on the Jackson State sidelines than I did Boulder. Some of you will remind me of that in the comments. You weren't going over there unless you were welcome.
Absolutely. But I think it falls back to what I said earlier, Tyler. People want this man to fail. They want it to be something. On one hand, on the kind-hearted side, it's again the soft bigotry of low expectations. Well, he's a black coach, and whereas Nick Saban wouldn't allow that, he probably would, because you just see this as a lesser thing. And then on the hate side of it, you want it to be true. You want a negative story to be true. You want it to not be taken out of context because you want this man to fail, because you want a generation after generation of fine bombs. You don't want a new generation of Tolly Carrs.
No. Well, we'll call it a generation of Neelys. That would be a little strong.
Either way.
I mean, Neely is on a bus. Neely's on a bus. He can come up here and cuss. Like Neely's untouchable right now.
Let's get on the bus, Gus.
How was the bus trip? Last time we saw you, you were here in the studio. Then you got on the bus literally and went to Orlando. You had to drive through some rain, I would guess, but you were on the Neely Mobile. How was it?
You know, weather-wise, went down there the whole way, not a drop of rain.
Really?
Until we got there. Ride-wise, very smooth. Shout out to the cars heading that way, honking their horn and pumping their fists. We tried to capture that as much as we could. Shout out to the people at Buc-ee's. Got to stop at Buc-ee's.
Oh, you better believe it. If that sign says 300 miles away, that's going to be 300 miles until we stop.
Yeah, we're going to stop at Buc-ee's. Shout out to the folks at Buc-ee's, you know, who recognized and wanted pics and that kind of stuff. All in all, a good trip. We do break the bus out for home games, but it's just parked at the tailgate. The next bus trip will be the Arizona game in a couple weeks.
Good time in Arizona. Wait, hold, stop the presses. Now, Neely, before I read this comment, you do acknowledge that all of your other little side partners, right? All the other people you deal with, that I show love and respect. I'm a fan of Neely, no matter what platform, no matter who you're rolling with, right?
Agreed.
No hate. All right. With that being said, where'd it go? Gerardo wants to know, did I get my package? No, I did not. Adrian Coleman says, I want to see Mr. Carr on the DNVR pregame show. I mean, that is what somebody said, Neely. I'm just saying. I didn't tell them to type it.
We can make that happen as soon as this week.
All right. Okay. I'm just letting
we're doing a couple shows, even during the bye week, where we reflect back on the previous 5 games and then look ahead between now and the next bye week. Would love to have Tolly Carr join us. Once I know those times we do them live, I will shoot them to you, Tolly, get you the link where you can hop on. And you are more than welcome to stay the entire broadcast or just be in and out for a segment.
I'm more of an in and out guy.
The love and mutual respect and admiration is reciprocated between Uncle Neely and Tolly Carr. In fact, let me point out to the people, there would be no, at least in name, Uncle Neely without Tolly Carr.
That's right. Off the top of my head, you became Uncle Neely one day, and you took the ball and you ran with it. I just handed it off. You did the rest of the work.
Richard Fain, who's down there in Florida, financial advisor, played ball growing up with Deion Sanders, and Coach Prime was very proficient at basketball, and they were about to play their rival, and the rival got moved to 7 p.m. on a Friday night, and Richard looked at Deion and said, man, you finna do your thing in prime time. You is prime time, dog. And that's where the name Prime Time Sanders was created, just off top of the head, like you did Uncle Neely.
And it stuck. And Richard's a little bit smarter than me, but there we go. All right, they want me to hang out with you and Chico as well. So,
that's Sunday nights. You
guys do Sunday. Lord said rest on Sunday.
Well, it's close enough to Monday that you get away with it, because it's late night.
Oh, school night. We might have to have a pre-recording. I'll do a drop. How about that? All right, Neely. So here we are. 4 4-1. 4-1. 4-1. You only need 2 more to get to a bowl game, and that's starting to look like a. Before we play the game, 6 wins. Okay, hey, that sounds good. 6 wins might be disappointing right now if that's all you got.
I think it still comes down to being competitive. Excuse me. I think it still comes down to being competitive. I think it still comes down to doing what you're good at and trying to take away what your opponents are doing well at. And then the chips fall where they may. Will they be fumbles, interceptions thrown, bad quarters, or even bad games? Yes. Will we go undefeated the rest of the way? Likely not. No one in college football probably will. Can we get one more game? Sure. Why am I starting with one more game? Because that will surpass the number of wins that Deion Sanders got last year. And I know the goal is 6, but 5 gives you a better season than the year before. And what you want is improvement year over year. Get to 6, you're going to a bowl game. If that 5 and 6, because all we have left are conference games, man, that puts you at 4-0 in the conference. One more, and you're just about assured that you're going to the conference championship in Dallas. So the way this team is rolling right now, the way it is positioned, the way it is coming together week, I like our odds, Tolly. I like our odds. If there was a line out there for bowl game or bust, I'd be putting it all in on bowl game. And right after that, you can see this team in Dallas.
Neely, the thing that I like is everything seems to be getting better and working towards peaking at the right time. If nothing else, peaking enough to get those 6 wins for sure. Because it's not been a roller coaster. There was a little dip, but I'm seeing that thing doing like you like to see your revenue do, like climb on up.
Tolly, let me use you an example. You know how you're good at what you do? This live show right here. This ain't your first time being live. When you look at the performance of this O-line and D-line, you had players who've been playing, but week 1 was their first week together. And then some of them didn't even play a whole quarter together. You've got enough football now where you know what you know about what you got. You got enough, as we keep saying, data points to make informed decisions, not guesstimations based solely off of practice situations. We have now game time information on who can excel, who does well in this situation, who does poorly in this situation. And so the coaches are growing and learning as a staff too. That's only going to continue to improve not only the coaches on the sideline, the coaches in the booth, but the players and the decision making and the efficiency of the decision making. I would dare say to you, without win-loss being the barometer of a game being played well, I would say to you that what you just saw was the worst that this team will ever be.
Somebody in the comments, Neely, Pabws, I don't know how to pronounce that. Says that when Colorado goes to a bowl, they need to name it the Hater Bowl because all the haters will be welcome. I thought that was pretty good.
That is.
It'll be whoever they play against is definitely going to be the Colorado Bowl because that is going to be the marketing for sure. We got a few more minutes here. I got a hard out today, boys and girls. I got to go pick up my daughter from cheer stuff after school, and I got to be there on time. So I can't mess around. But I do want to talk about this. Travis Hunter was in the pregame interview with Charles Woodson, and they were talking, and they go back to the desk, and all the hosts on the desk talk about Heisman this, Heisman that, right? Here's what one of the guys said. Neely. He said, "I have never seen anything like Travis Hunter. He is the best." Okay, point one, I've never seen anything like it. He's the best player in college football right now, and something to the effect of no one can do what he is doing on both sides of the ball. We have never seen anyone, not only this year, but we've never seen anyone do what he is doing on both sides of the ball. After making all those great points, the guy then follows it up and says, "I got him number 2 in the Heisman." I'm like, did you hear what you just said? And look, Cam Ward, great. excellent player. He said all that and said, and I got Travis number 2. And the argument came back to, are they going to win enough games? But I think what the real argument, the thing that everybody says, but nobody will like stand on it, like 10 toes down, stand on it, is it's a quarterback award. And they just want to give it to the best quarterback, which, okay, on your average year. But when you have someone where, Neely, the expectation is an interception and a touchdown every game and 100 yards, and has delivered more times than not with that expectation.
You know,
what are we talking about?
The Heisman Trophy, and these are the Downtown Athletic Club of New York City words, not mine, goes to the best player in college football for that year. They don't have in their bylaws, but also from a winning or national championship team, but also more than likely we're going to give this to a quarterback. It says the best player in college football. 5 weeks in, Travis Hunter is more than proved he is the best player in college football, and he has proved that no matter what the record for Colorado becomes later on. I'll even tell you this, Tolly. Whether you get that old magic 8-ball we had from Spencer Gifts as a kid, or you get your fortune teller ball out, Travis Hunter is so much of a once-in-a-lifetime guy. Travis Hunter is so much doing what has never been done and will be done again, that whether he gets the Heisman or not, which is their call, 20 years from now, there's going to be a Travis Hunter Jr. award. He's going to have an award named after him. That's how badass he is.
Neely, he did have his moment. He struck the Heisman pose. I don't know if you got to see it in real time, which end of the sideline you might have been on. But I know,
Charlie, not only did I get to see it, I'm going to send you the clip. I thought you were going to mention it. The TV picked me up seeing it, and somebody commented, look at that proud uncle.
Uncle Neely, he knows where the cameras are at all and any given time. But when you strike that pose, it goes into the highlight reel. They're going to show it next week. They're going to show it the week after that. We're going to see that 10, 15, 20, 100, 50, 11 times, right, between now and the end of the season. Those are things, Neely, subconsciously.
Yeah, and I think from a school standpoint or Smack Entertainment standpoint, the marketing agency with Coach Prime and some of the players, I think you're going to start seeing a push. I think you're going to start seeing a campaign of Travis for Heisman. And so a lot of times, man, God bless the talking heads on these national shows, sitting there behind the desk. They're talking from bullet points that they've been sent. They're talking from media packages that they've been sent. So it's time for us, whether it's the school or supporters, friends of the program, whatever, it's time for us to do just like you do with legislation at the Capitol or the State House. We got to start lobbying. Travis is doing the work. Travis is showing that he's worthy by what happens on Saturday. We got to start the information campaign of making sure that those voters out there are more aware than they've ever been or will be on why this guy should be the Heisman Award winner. We can't just leave it up to Travis on the field, because it's the same thing like getting into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The work gets you noticed, the work gets you validated, but it's the campaigns that get you over the top.
All right, one thing, again, that I loved as well, afterwards, Shedeur Sanders acknowledged in one of his questions, I think somebody asked him, how does he handle the pressure or something along those lines, expectations maybe. And he said, look, remember, paraphrasing here, I was a kid from HBCU that you didn't even think could do this, what I'm doing here. I love that these kids acknowledge where they come from and show that love for Jackson State. And you cannot watch a Colorado game, even to this day, where there's not at least one mention. Somebody is going to bring up Jackson State.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've done it 4 or 5 times a day on this show. These young people, Shedeur Sanders, Cameron Stillman Craig, Jeremiah Brown, Tyler Rock Brown, the list goes on and on and on. These young people who follow Coach Prime from the Jackson State University to Colorado have never forgotten their chance, their opportunity, and what Jackson State did for them. And any chance that they get to prove it, that they are more like them, to prove it, that they still love it and appreciate and have respect for the culture without being prompted. They mention it. They mention, hey man, I was at HBCU. You know, y'all doubted me. I live in this space. I thrive in this space. What you're bringing at me is nothing. I've been through this before, and I'm very proud of what I've accomplished. And I'm bringing HBCU, the banner in the name, with me. And then when you add in Shiloh, who was one of the ones who actually got to graduate from Jackson State, he'll even add on, all of that is true, and I got my degree there. They're not running from their history. They embrace their history at Jackson State and the HBCU space, and they understand that they were playing against people that are not as good as the people they're playing against now.
And those teams won some games. Jackson State went undefeated in conference play, but lost in 2 Celebration Bowls. So there was some good competition there. And I would never, if I was on that South Carolina State or North Carolina Central team, I would never, never, never let anybody forget that we beat Jackson State and these Heisman front runners in the Celebration Bowl. Two great games.
Absolutely.
Before we get out of here, Elvin Davidson, taking you at your word, Elvin. Elvin says you're spot on, Unc. I was on the campaign for Peyton Manning when he was at Tennessee. You have to make it a situation where there is no other choice. Why not? Why wouldn't you do it for your people? That's how the game is played.
I'm telling you, man, I appreciate that comment, that offer of validation. A lot of people may not know this, Tolly, but in one of my previous lives, I worked as a lobbyist in state government. Bills don't get passed because they're good bills or great ideas. Bills get passed because somebody's in the smoky room late at night in the whisper campaign telling you why this will be good to become a law. It is the same thing with the Hall of Fame. It is the same thing with the Heisman Trophy. If we want Travis to be a Heisman Trophy winner, we can't just leave it up to Travis and what he does on the field. Organizations have to get behind the campaign for it, and you have to start doing mail-outs and mailers and sending videos and files and all that kind of stuff to the list of voters around the country to start winning them over, not just what's on the field, but the public relations campaign as well.
All right, folks, we are family here. We are community. So again, my apologies for not going like an hour and some change, but you know, we're 57 minutes in. But I got to get that Atlanta traffic under my belt and go pick up my baby. Say it one more time, Neely. What's the record? What's the record again? What is it?
4-1 going into the bye week. As we let Tolly Carr get out of here, Tolly Carr asked me last week. He said, Neely, tell the people, what would it feel like to be 4-1 going into the bye week? Well, I can sit here right now at 4-1 going to the bye week, and in the words of James Brown, it feels good.
I feel good. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll catch up with you a little later. Neely's going to be all over the place. He's at home chilling. He has nothing else to do. So look for plenty of content on the Pregame Show Network all week long from Jackson, Mississippi. Neely, I know you're going to work hard, but enjoy this week, man, and I will catch up with you pretty soon, brother. This is the Pregame Show Rewind on the Pregame Show Network. He's Uncle Neely. I'm TC from Atlanta. We'll see you guys a little later. Okay, stream is over.
All right, bro, good show.